Good morning, everybody. Just realized how loud this chair was. So, up next for the fruit of the spirits that we have is goodness. I Googled the definition of goodness exactly, and it is the quality of being morally good or virtuous. And I feel like just by that definition, that's exactly what Jesus was and is. There isn't a single thing that Jesus did in the Bible that was really bad. He only did that which was good and virtuous. Um, some of the examples that I could really just think off the top of my head was healing the blind and the broken, befriending the sinners, bestowing great wisdom that is still used today. Don't tell me you can't go to a church and hear some great wisdom from Jesus. Jesus also gave out this overflowing kindness, loving children, loving the neglected, and of course, most importantly, dying for us and becoming the ultimate sacrifice so that we may be able to spend eternity with Him in heaven. And remember, that is just some of what Jesus did for us. Now, remember, we are supposed to behave like Jesus. That does mean that we are supposed to have His goodness in our life, helping those that are unable, being a light to those that are lost, loving those that the world thinks is below them. We are to be an ambassador for God in displaying His goodness. Galatians 6:10 says, "Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith." It is so important, not only in our walk with God, but also in showing the world what God really is. God isn't just this horrible person that is looking for every reason to display His wrath upon us. No, it's the complete opposite. He is good, full of an endless mercy, unbelievably in love with us, His creation. We've put this false image on God, and for some reason we think that He hates us, and that if we are ever out of line, then He is just going to wipe us from the face of the earth. When the reality is that God knows that we're imperfect and that we make mistakes, and that is why He sent Christ to die for us. In paying the price for our sins, not His, ours, He is giving us an opportunity to spend eternity with Him, even amidst our flaws and all of our shortcomings. We don't need to work for this grace. It is literally being given to us freely if we only accept Jesus. That is perhaps the greatest showing of goodness I have ever heard of, and that anybody could even possibly think of. With that much goodness freely given to us, we should also be able to display just a small fraction of what Jesus does in our lives. That small amount of Jesus displayed in our lives could easily change somebody else's. It could be the first good deed that somebody has ever known. And that goodness could start with you. Well, really from Jesus, but you get what I'm saying. Goodness shouldn't just be something that we just kind of mess around with and show sometimes when we feel like it. No, not at all. It should be one of our characteristics displayed from our daily living and life. The fruits of the Spirit, like goodness, should be what God's Spirit produces in our lives. It should be in our endeavors to grow closer to Him. We should begin to develop these fruits of the Spirit. That's what they're all about. Goodness goes without saying. People really do expect Christians to give out goodness, and honestly, so does God. It's not out of place to say that Christians should go the extra mile. It feels like I'm kind of going on a little bit of a rant on all this, so please forgive me, but it kind of is. So often I see those in church claiming God but not displaying His goodness, and it's a very sad thing to witness. I grew up with quite a bit of this in different churches. I saw a lot of people that claimed God and they didn't act like it. Neither did I, but my heart's gotten better over the years. We as Christians are called to be like Christ, especially in His character, which should become our character. I remember hearing a story about Abraham Lincoln, and I even looked up this fact just to kind of see if I was right. Abraham Lincoln was, for his time, a very tall person. He was about 6'4", which is the exact same height as myself, just so you know. But for him to be able to get any kind of clothes that fit him, it was very expensive because he had to have them custom made. So he had come to an agreement with a tailor that if Abraham Lincoln was to cut X amount of wood for this tailor, the tailor would make a pair of pants for Abraham Lincoln. So Abraham Lincoln had he had cut the agreed amount, and he felt so bad that the tailor was going to have to work extra hard and use extra materials on it that Abraham Lincoln ended up cutting double the amount of wood that they had originally agreed on. Let me see, where was I? That kind of goodness that Abraham Lincoln displayed right there. Oh, my hair is a mess. That kind of goodness that Abraham Lincoln displayed right there is what we really do need more of in our own lives. It's that kind of going the extra mile that shows goodness, and it displays God in our life. Especially today, I was on Facebook. I've just gotten back from vacation, and it made me sick. It made me flat out sick. Everything that I got caught up with on Facebook, I mean, just pure hatred. Everything that I saw on there. It was mainly on the political side of things, and let me say something very, very plainly on Beyond Faith. You're not going to see me get political about anything on here. I see this political divide, and it makes me so sad. So I'm not going to, I refuse to talk politics on here, just so anybody is wondering whether I will say that or not. No, I've got my beliefs, and I believe they differ from a lot of other people, and that's fine. That's why I won't talk about it on here. But mainly on the political side of things on Facebook, I saw just this pure, unbelievable hatred. I mean, it was such a serious lack of goodness, no matter which way you wanted to look at it, right or left. It was horrible. First day, back from vacation, I'm like, my goodness. But we could see a huge amount of unity if we began to see more goodness in everybody's life. But sadly, with a lacking of God at the center, then that's going to be pretty much impossible, because God is what truly gives us peace and goodness. There's this popular song that I've listened to quite a bit. Different artists have done their own covers on it. I think even at our own church, I think I may have heard them sing it there. Different tempos, but it's all the exact same message. The song is called Goodness of God. It talks about all that God has done for us. Being faithful, being a friend, being our Father, being so, so good to us is some of the lyrics in there. And I think that it's time that we really take those words to heart. Literally, listen to the words of the song after this video. Go listen to Goodness of God. I think the one version that I love the best is by Bethel Music. And listen to what they say about the goodness of God and see how you can start applying that goodness to your own life. I understand it's a song, but still, I love songs. I love worship music and all that. And it's a good way to kind of understand everything that God does. We could kind of reflect that in our own life. And I'm sorry, this really does seem like I am all over the place in this video, but at the core of what I'm talking about, this goodness, it is an imperative fruit of the Spirit that really needs so much attention, and we just often overlook it so much. Negating from this is not an option within Christian living. And I feel like I'm really going to come back and revisit goodness in a later video, maybe do an entire series just on this one subject point. Who knows, maybe I'll write a book about it someday. I don't know. That'd be something, wouldn't it? But there's just so much here with this one attribute that it's hard to really narrow down what exactly we need to talk about in this one video of just covering the fruits of the Spirit. There's so much here. I feel like it is so important. Looking into the Bible, we can see an awful lot about goodness in the book of Psalms. Psalms 23:6 says, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all of the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Psalms 27:13 says, "I would have lost heart unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." Psalm 31:19, "Oh, how great is your goodness, which you have laid up for those who fear you, which you have prepared for those who trust in you in the presence of the sons of men." And lastly, Psalms 145:9, The Lord is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all of his works, excuse me. And I'm barely scratching the surface with some of these Psalms. There is literally so much in just the book of Psalms. With all of this talk of goodness, I can clearly look and see how important this one attribute of the fruit of the Spirit, how important this attribute of the fruit of the Spirit is. The depth of God's goodness is so much more than our understanding. It should be applied heavily within our own lives. I'll stop right here and I'll say, and I'll stop it with this right here, okay, is that in this goodness, there is so much that we have to offer this world that if we really begin to apply it, wow, I misread that completely. So let me try that again. It's been a long weekend. In this goodness, there is so much that we have to offer this world. Once we begin to really apply it into our living, goodness can really be a foundation for building a better world. So start today in building that foundation. If you want to see a better world like I do, then please start with goodness. Thanks everybody for watching, and I look forward to sharing in the next video.